Welcome to JJ with Joy. I wanted to do a flip through of Precious Memories. That's what I've given the name of this journal to. I have a little sari silk on the outside, and I have a million little ephemera pieces inside. So I added some mica on the outside to make the girl kind of look like a broken frame pop off there. There's lots of laces and trims, and this is real vintage tape on the front. Lots of sewing within. Let's get in it. So on here I've got fibers. This is a vellum piece that I've added on top. This doesn't come out. It's all attached. We have many different things here going on as you look at the pieces. This is book spine on the back. This is rust dyed fabric. And over here, just different vintage laces and trims. Some are vintage, some are not. This is embossed on the front. I don't know if you can see the shimmer shine there. You can. It says, "We don't make mistakes, we just have happy accidents." Bob Ross. Now, I did do the most of this live, so you can actually watch how it came together. Sorry, my cat. Oh my. Fabrics, many fabrics. An old vintage clip. We have this lady, and I put a piece of lace curtain around it, and then I kind of peeled it back so you couldn't see her completely. And then a little ticket, some washi here. I believe that's Tim Holtz. I'm not positive that is. Labels and ephemera, and this is some German paper tape here. Button with some junk underneath it. A little vintage button. I think that's a shell button. It is. It's a vintage shell button. Just lots of yummies. Oh my goodness. Now this was a tip-in, which means it wasn't originally in the book, and I added it on. On this side, it was an embossed specialty paper it was specialty paper. I embossed it, to smush it, to bring it up. And then I thought it still needed more, so I went ahead and used some acrylic paint on top of that. There's some buttons over here on top of that, more rust dyed. This is like a canvasy material here, and some stitching, hand stitch. Rolled up the corners. I added a corner in here. There is a little bit of it's a scrap cluster is what it is. And some digitals. This is a digital. Someone had given me this frame, so I cut out a girl and stuck her in there. Oh, I don't know if you noticed on the front, I did paint. I splattered some paint on it. And when I looked at this little piece here, I thought, oh, look, it's got a thing. I don't remember that. Well, that's because it wasn't there originally. It was painted on. And I could have put a hole in it, but I decided not to. Now, on this page, I love how it flows together, and you just see the millions of layers all everywhere. This has... I'm not going to say what I think about this page because it kind of made me laugh a little bit. If you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. But a very vintage button. And this lady, I put a bouquet of flowers in her hand. This has a rust-dyed pin through this little piece with some hand stitching and more hand stitching. I did embossed flower on there and put a frame behind here. So it's got a little bit of that same, the same, wherever it was, back, well, here it is. It's got this on it, I believe, another piece of that. Over here, I watercolored as a random flower and thought I would throw it in there. I tore around it and sewed crazy, added some hand stitching, put the frame on it. I thought that just helped it pop off the page a little bit more. There's, black lace, black threads. There's cream color lace, white lace, and a little bit of black down here, and this cream pops out, makes it a little more, kind of blends it all together. This page has an original tintype in it, and I don't know if you can see her, but she's kind of well worn, as you can probably tell. This is a great kind of journal to do that in because there's just so much going on. I put a little tab over here. I added the numbers, put a little gold underneath and some stitching there. I put a photo, an actual slide, or no, I guess it's a photo. You know what they're called. I'm blank. Psh, it went out the window. There is a little bit of the spine off of an old vintage book there. And this is the center of the book. So I had this random piece of, I don't know if you can see that glaring off of that plastic, and it had 6 holes in it. And so I just put some threads in it and made it work for me. This page has just a bunch going on as well. This is an old license plate from 1952. It's a copy, of course. We have over here a clock, and this is a postcard. This is some of the Tim Holtz vintage tape here. Looks so good, you guys. I love his vintage tape. I had this piece that I had poked some holes in. Oh, it's actually a die cut, and I would assume that you're probably supposed to actually punch it into your page as it's in there, but I punched it to see what it was going to look like, and I thought, well, I'm just going to use that. I put a eyelet down here to add a little piece of black stuff on it. The other piece of, the back of the plate is there. I added some threads underneath these girls so they're standing on something. There's an Uncle Wiggily playing card. I never played the game, don't know anything about it. A vintage envelope from the 1920s is on the bottom there. We had to leave the chicken on there. Somebody in my live said, oh, please leave the chicken. So I did. I left the chicken. A little bit of the, I can assume that these little girls might have had dresses made out of this kind of material. I just think it's kind of vintage yumminess there. Rust dyed. This paper here is some of the Italian vintage papers that I have from the 20s as well. I had a sticker of flowers, so I put it behind acetate so you can't really tell that it's not a true dried flower. And I just put Flora on there. It has a clip over here that I've added some of this, ooh, I forgot the name of this thread. It's a really cool thread. If somebody wants to know, just ask. I wrote experience the joy of being in nature on the little roses here. I clipped a rusty paper clip with this little drawing that I had drawn. I actually used for the petals, I had this little teeny stamp, and I thought, what on earth would that be for? Well, it's to stamp a little flower and then you draw the petals. That's what it's for. This is one of those vintage kitchen calendars that is fabric. A little bit of extra fabric. This is some Tim Holtz fabric under here. A vintage bedspread on that part. I hand stitched, and this is a tip in as well. So I tried to bring in the color of this to kind of bring it and pop that a little bit. Oh, you guys can't see. I'm getting it too close. I feel like I'm too far away, but then I'm too close. So if you didn't see it all, let me back up. Heck, you probably didn't see all of it. I should just go through it once I'm done. All right. On this, I hand stitched and just made a mess, as messy as I could. This was a library card, and it had in red the WLN, so I left it there, and I thought, well, I'll bring out the red with this and make it pop off of there. I hand drew this flower. I did sign a little JA there, so she would know. This is a commission journal, so it's sold already, but tied a little bow, added that in. I put a punch through that. I kind of like adding the frames. I think it adds a lot to it. On here, I had this little tag I'd made with an eyelet, so I put a piece of paper, or sorry, silk, not paper. There's some music stuff behind here. There is also a computer card back there, more German paper tape. This is a little scrap cluster that I had created a while back. Stamp, you name it. This piece from here straight up is like a Temu piece of paper, but it's really pretty, so I added it in anyway. Put the frame around it, dirtied it all up. This is some of Tim Holtz stuff over here, and I have lace, fabric, and you name it, it's on there. This rust color piece back here is from a sample. This is the tip-in, by the way. So it is from, and this is the back of it. I thought it was so cool. Upholstery. So, you know, you can get the big books of upholstery. And so this rust color fabric would have been used on chairs back probably in the 70s. I don't know. I hand drew this. First of all, I want you to see, I've been watching this lady. I don't remember who it was actually. And she's shown, this is watercolor paper. And so she showed us how easy it was just to wet your paper and then get a little color on your watercolor brush. And then you just swoop up and it makes a tree. Yeah. I don't know. It did not make a tree. It made blob, 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 blob. And so I thought, well, I might use it someday. I love it with this. I hand drew this on. I wrote on it with a watercolor pencil and kind of smudged it using a technique that I got from the Creative Cove. And then I'm kind of watching her drawing, and I love to watch her drawing. So I hand drew this flower on there, and I signed it J.A. down here. This is some, I believe this is Temu trim that was there. A lot of vintage. This is a vintage paper with some of the stamps on the back. I stamped the back of this so it wouldn't be out there so bluntly. Put a little piece of fabric over here, some extra fibers under this. This page itself kind of stands out, but yet you can see it just still flows down. I had a doily that I cut and used, and it's on the whole back of this. Now, I had, what is it called? It's not a latch hook. It's not a cross stitch. I almost called it a cross stitch. I had a latch hook, and I had an extra piece left over, and so I had to go buy another whole piece because I loved the look of it so much. Now, I did add in gold acrylic paint on top of this, and this is actually some rose gold, not gold, but rose gold. And it's kind of worn off a little bit. I love it. There's a tab here. There's a bow there. I took this leftover piece of, I think it was a digital time card, and I just cut out cut out a place, and then put some distress around it and added one of the Tim Holtz people in there. Stamped the Tim Holtz Condemned down there. Put some lace. There's a little teeny whiny playing card. I did put a brad in this. This is a Tim Holtz piece, and I just added a brad, which makes it look so realistic. There's a button on top of some fabric. This is Tim Holtz fabric here. Let's see. What else? Sorry if the lighting's bad. It's always bad. All right. Down to almost the last page here. I added a charm, or not a charm. Well, I guess it's a beaded charm, I suppose. It kind of, this rose gold color matched the rose gold in here. Can you see that? And then that kind of matched that. So it kind of all went together. I kind of like it. This is on one of those old stick pins. So the end comes off and it's sharp. And then I just made this tag. I made this tag a long time ago. I had sent it through a die machine. It's an embossing die is what it is. And I thought, I just rubbed dye across it, and then I liked the look of it. I thought it looked pretty cool. I did back it with some Temu paper, and on here is some more Temu paper. I used the stapleless stapler to punch these 2 holes just for fun. This has a little vellum piece on the back. It will come off if you pull hard enough. I'll put a tab on it. I had this little stamp stamped on there. This is the Tim Holtz's tape. And, oops. It wants to be contrary. There it is. I hand stitched. Oh, there's some sorry silk here. I hand stitched. Oh, wait, back here. Let me go here. This is I have an old-fashioned wood stamp that was way back when they would have done their accounting like this. It's got the charge and credit and balances, and it is so worn that it doesn't print fully any longer, but I thought it was really cool, so I had stamped out some. This page kind of goes with this page over here a little bit. I found this metal piece, and I added a brad in the middle of it, and I thought it looked pretty together. This kind of brings the black in. There's lace. There is, it was kind of funny. I had this piece of scrapbook paper, and I wanted to bring in the color from here, so I had this. And then as I put it down on the page, I thought, well, wait a minute. I didn't want to cover what was on here. That's an old piece of ephemera. So I ended up just ripping it out. I sewed, hand-stitched, around it. I got this old looking stamp in a trade and put a tab on it, and I just think that looks pretty neat. Now this is a tip-in again, and then this is the last page. So I have a tea bag that I did a glue bath over, and it has a piece of ephemera underneath, and it didn't pop enough. So I went ahead and drew around what I could see through the tea bag of the original. There's, if you can see the gold, I bought some gold leafing. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, you put glue down, you put the gold leaf over the top of it, and you pull it up, and then you brush it away. It's messy, messy, messy. I suggest that you, be aware of that if you're going to do it. This is the piece of ephemera that's upside down that is here. It says postcard. Oops, I'm sorry. And I had handmade these faux film strips, stamped them with StazOn, alcohol dyed them, and then I punched them through. It's a piece of acetate is all it is, and I punched it through the cinch machine, so it looks like a film strip. Then I sewed it over the Tim Holtz lady. This is part of the tea bag as well as this. Now, whoops, it keeps flipping on me. The last page has got some green stamps. If you don't know what those are, it was given when you bought groceries. They gave you a stamp. You collected the stamps and you sent them into a store, and they sent you stuff. You got to pick out of a catalog what you wanted. So this was an old grocery piece of ephemera, and then I found this derby lunch tongue is what it says. Isn't that nasty? Can you imagine? They sold that in the olden days. Anyway, I found it in a Reminisce magazine, and I thought, well, they might have been advertising that on TV, so I put it in the TV, and I put glossy accents around the little pieces to make the knobs look knobbish. And this is a piece of that same, what do you call it? Latch hook. I have to look behind me to find out what I had. Rust-dyed lace, what do you call that? Doily. It's off of a doily or a lace something. And then this is Tim Holtz fabric back here. And the last page I kept pretty simple because it's the back. You can see the stitching through there. Tim Holtz tape. I signed it, handmade by Joy Alderson 24. More Tim Holtz fabric here, and the rust dyed, you can see this through, and on the edge it looks like that. So there is the top view of yumminess, the side view of yumminess, the bottom view. And I love this so much. I just think it's so cute. Oh, I forgot to point out on the front, this is the, you know, like when people graduated or something, they always put the frame around the big picture. This is also a Tim Holtz frame with the little stuff hanging off there. I don't know if you, there's so many details that you miss them when you're looking at it. So it will be fun for the person that has purchased this to go through it and see all of the details. And I just, I'm excited to send it off and hope that she enjoys it. I'll put my little business card in there and we'll call it good. I hope you guys like what you see. Thank you so much for being here. Share it if you like. And I forget what we were going to call these. We were going to give them a name because, oh, this is a ephemera eating journal, I think is what we were going to call it, because you think you have enough ephemera to start it, and then you just keep going and going, and it's like, I got to get more ephemera, I got to get more ephemera. So I think we're calling it an ephemera eating journal. Anyway, if you would like to see more from me, please subscribe, and if you ring the bell, be sure to choose all if you want to see everything that I post. And as for today, remember your day is full of choices, so choose joy. Have a wonderful day.